As I fell asleep after finishing my evening recitation on the 9th November 2018, I felt my soul becoming light. Soon, I was flying towards heaven, and on the way I saw many heavenly gates. Each and every one of them leads to a different heavenly realm, all with complex paths. In the past, if not led by the Bodhisattva's golden light, when journeying around heavenly realms, I most certainly couldn't find my way to the hall of Guandi Bodhisattva. Every heavenly gate is guarded by Dharma protectors of that associated realm and religious practice, and they all look different. As I felt myself distracted by the various heavenly gates, the golden light disappeared. I landed at the foot of an unknown heavenly gate, which was guarded by two heavenly children. I became disoriented because the golden light disappeared. I didn't know where to go. How do I get to the hall of Guandi Bodhisattva? I asked one of the heavenly children. The child smiled. I can tell you, but first, you must answer one question. Pausing for a moment, I nodded. What is the darkest thing in the human realm? The child asked. I replied, a person's mind is always the darkest. Laughing, the child responded, isn't the black obsidian in hell the darkest? Why would it be the human mind? I replied again, the obsidian in hell is indeed very dark, but it is because of the darkness within one's mind that they can see such rocks upon their descent into hell. Still laughing, the child guided me through the gates. Inside, it looked like the Taoist palaces and temples you would find in the human realm. The structures were enormous and radiated a golden light. As I entered the palace courtyard, I saw a bodhisattva who looked composed. Which way leads to the hall of Guandi Bodhisattva? I got lost. I asked the Bodhisattva. There is a path here that leads straight to the hall of Guandi Bodhisattva. Heavenly child, if you can answer a question, I'll take you there. The Bodhisattva replied. Again, I thought briefly before nodding. The Bodhisattva asked, which is more important, one's spirit or one's physical body? I replied, both are equally important. The Bodhisattva smiled and said, you are a Buddhist practitioner. How could you value your physical body so much and be so afraid of death? I replied, my master said that we must outlive this impermanent world to cultivate our inherent true nature. So one's physical body is certainly important in the human realm. Smiling again, the Bodhisattva told me, follow me, I will take you to the hall of Guandi Bodhisattva. I heaved a sigh of relief, because if I got it wrong, I feared getting lost in heaven. That would be bad. Even in the human realm, my sense of direction was still extremely poor. I soon arrived at the hall of Guandi Bodhisattva. After receiving permission to enter, I flew inside and saw Guandi Bodhisattva sitting on the main seat. Paying my respect to each of the Bodhisattvas present, I stood quietly to the side and awaited further instructions. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva declared, Buddhist practitioners should focus on acting upon their vows. Since ancient times, all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have relied upon their practice along the path of Buddhism to attain Buddhahood. Manjushri Bodhisattva added, Buddhists shouldn't focus on benefiting themselves or care only about their families. That is not the way of Mahayana Buddhism. Since attaining Buddhahood countless kalpas ago, Guanyin Bodhisattva has been constantly manifesting the form of a Bodhisattva to spiritually awaken countless sentient beings and help them become liberated. Now that her Dharma door has been bestowed upon the human realm, it is being subject to slander and defamation from all around. Nevertheless, Guanyin Bodhisattva harbors no resentment, nor regret, and still views all sentient beings as her own children. Disciples of the Guanyin Sita Dharma door should help your master, Jun Hong Lu, to fulfill his grand vow, and together ascend to the four sagely realms. The Buddha said, "The profoundness of Buddhism is as deep as the oceans." The differences between Dharma doors and religious practices are like the heavenly gates you saw, all established according to different vows and circumstances. They were all created with the purpose of helping sentient beings to be free from affliction. All Buddhist practices have the same lineage. No one should use their limited views and understanding of the human realm to defame other people's practices. That is considered to be one of the 5 great misdeeds: patricide, matricide, killing an arhat, shedding the Buddha's blood, and causing schism in the monastic community. It is also one of the 4 greater prohibitions: deeds of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and lying. It is because of Guanyin Bodhisattva's compassion and mercy towards those who are ignorant and create karma that you can visit hell and make your observations known to the public. Tonight, the underworld has permitted you to watch the trial of an offender who is currently undergoing his punishment in the unintermittent hell. You may take your leave now and come back soon. The Bodhisattva sent my soul back to the human realm. On the night of 10th November 2018, I was taken to the underworld in my dream by the Dharma protectors. Leading in the hall of the king of hell was a deceased disciple who was completely charred. The king of hell told me that this offender was a disciple of Master Jun Hong Lu. Before he died, he stopped practicing Guanyin Sita Dharma door and committed many deeds of verbal misconduct regarding the Buddhist practice. He also broke his great vow, which was recorded as a severe form of false speech in the underworld, because it amounted to lying to the Buddha and Bodhisattvas. When his health problems first arose, he begged for Guanyin Bodhisattva's help, but it was too late, as he had failed to sincerely repent of his wrongdoings. After he died, he was sent to the unintermittent hell for punishment. Then his soul was brought to the hall. The deceased disciple sent me a thought message. After I underwent the King of Hell's trial, the underworld officers took me to the unintermittent hell. I kept on walking for a very long time before reaching a large dark cavern. When I went inside and walked to the bottom of the cavern, the ground was boiling hot and my feet couldn't stand the heat. But I was forced by the enforcement officers to keep moving forward. The officers all wore boots. Only we offenders were barefoot. I was still wearing the same clothes as I passed away. The enormous cavern was filled with giant black boulders that emitted smoke and embers, spurting sparks suddenly before extinguishing. Inside, there were also many offenders like me. Everyone looked like they were dying. They were all completely charred and writhing in pain on the ground. I was very afraid. The enforcement officers handed me over to the chief enforcement officer, who was in charge of this hell. Like many of the enforcement officers, he was a giant, and his face was dark. They exchanged a few words before the chief officer dragged me to the side of a molten lava stream. I struggled, but I was nowhere near as strong as him. The molten lava stream was bright red. I cried and struggled frantically, but the enforcement officer pinned me on the ground and pried my mouth open. He took a ladle, scooped a large spoon of lava, and poured it straight into my mouth. It was so painful. The offender couldn't stop crying. He added, "The molten lava instantly burned my mouth, which cracked and bled. When it touched my mouth, the pain was so intense that I fell to the ground, my body twitching and convulsing violently. As the lava gradually smoldered its way down my throat into my chest, stomach, and intestines, the pain stretched out across my entire body. There was not a single spot that was left untouched by the shockingly burning pain. My whole body began to smoke, and I could see blood oozing out of the cracks in my skin as my clothes burned off. Guanyin Bodhisattva, I was wrong, and I repent sincerely. Please forgive us for our ignorance and irresponsible speech. I beg that your Buddhist practitioners allow any disciple who has committed wrongdoings to return to the Dharma door to repent and make amends for their wrongdoings. I don't want them to have to descend to hell like me." Constantly weeping, the offender continued, "I beg that you Buddhists can be compassionate and merciful towards these serious offenders. Please forgive them. Think about the karmic consequences waiting for them in hell. They will have to experience so much unbearable pain and suffering. I can't stop wishing that this will be just a nightmare, so there will be a chance I can wake up. But I know that's not true. Please do not descend to hell. When you are here, it's too late for regrets." Signing, the King of Hell replied, "Guanyin Bodhisattva is merciful and compassionate. Now that this deceased disciple has warned others by sharing his experience, he is spared for his punishment in hell." An enforcement officer pulled the offender back on his feet. Working slowly, amid terrible burns and constant pain, he left, following the officer. Although he committed such a serious offense, I couldn't bear to watch. As the King of Hell signaled for me to return to the human world, I was enveloped in rays of golden light.